After the most important of the fighting, they go to one of the cafes to eat light meals. Jin says it is funny. He tells me that they got what they deserve. These men will not be able to raise their faces for a period of time. Eugene. He tells me in the computer room, you argue a student from Jisuk Secondary School with you. Park says Eugene. Are you fine, Park? We say yes. He helped me. To me, he says. Do not be afraid. If the same thing happens again. Did you see me that the aura is a special important when it comes to their likes? Then things are getting worse? Jin says this is true. If you are not very confident, they will destroy you. Bless you. What if you hit you for no reason? He says to me, you will not strike me for no reason. He tells me that you can do so, but if you can't say anything, you just be beaten less. But it becomes more difficult because you will be arrested later. Jin says, even if you look around it, it will be annoying. Usually people who are afraid of the beginning and cannot say anything, that will always be contact with them. Well, all of them do this necessarily in any case. Bless you, you do not need to be afraid. As happened previously, Eugene remembers the days of what was in the camp, and he was afraid of those who were with, and how he was suffering from that. But I decided to gather forces and repel them and hit them until I was afraid of him. Smiling and looking at Park, in fact, I hate you. And I also tell me when we are bullying on our colleagues. We were sometimes joking, Jin. We were just joking. And there were also people like Kim Ki-kyo. Compared to these people, so we are nobles. He says, Park until the words and the harsh jokes that you say are considered violence for people like me. Also, whether strength is weak or strong, violence is violence. I hate you because you did that. He looks at me and Jin, who are surprised by what he says. Look at them while smiling and says I said what I want to say. Jin says I do not know what to say after. I heard what I said. I thought I was just joking, but I did not think about this way. Which he says. And I also believe that we were better than other people. Park says I am guest after you stay with you recently, and you were kind to me. I was wondering if you did not know that your actions are considered violence. He tells me, as I told you, we did not hit the people around us. We were just taking the money and doing some of the jokes. We never struck anyone in real. I am sorry. Jin says, I am also sorry. I know that the apology is now. It will be useless. But I cannot think of anything other than this to tell you now. The story is transferred to the company. Yuna's cousin appears before us while she is on the office. She hears the voice of the guard. Why do you suddenly come here? And screaming. Yuna says you are doing an investigation into Eugene. What does this mean? She says his son, my cousin Yuna. Yuna considers her sister and calls her sister. What are you talking about? You were investigating it because it was suspicious. Yuna says that maybe only for a moment. But I promised that I did not investigate more. Could do so. Yuna's sister says you do not know how to live. Have you already forgotten what happened to you? Only recently, because he saved. You does not mean that he is a trustworthy person. A person whose past is a lie and is in the same school like you and in the same semester. So why do we not verify it? The personal goalkeeper says no. Sister Yona, understand the feelings of forget. On the part of the school also, are the documents submitted to the school are incorrect. Yuna's sister says I am happy to see you, even if it didn't happen. I would have been communicating with you. The goalkeeper says, it took a long time because the student's information was withheld strangely, but I asked for that after going through the upper line. My sister Yona is not a curiosity about what the identity of that person says Yuna. No. I am never curious, he said to himself. Eugene saved my life, and this is enough. Whatever place they are talking if on the phone. Yuna's sister says, do we listen to all this call together? You open the call, saying with you, Ji Shen. He says we have called you about your request a few days ago. Yuna's sister says, did you discover who he says? I recently investigated Eugene. After him, and yet I felt embarrassed because he was more difficult than I thought. In the future, you do not investigate Eugene, which is instructions from the highest authorities. Yuna's sister, who is angry, is, what is this? Is this logical person that we do not know even? Shen says, given the relationship between our government and ISW, and tell you as a person, from Ice Dipley, that the person does not need to worry about that. Just a young man returned home to stay with his family, those separated from them in a plane accident. On the second day, the day of, Yona and her companion Seuk go to the school. Jin looks at them and says they did not come here for a few days, but they came today. I say that we came with us. Almost ended, almost. She goes to them and says, Yona, did you come to school today? Says Park, he was here a little while ago. Where did he go? Her companion Seuk says the president came to school. Yuna says what my grandfather says. To herself how he came here, without telling me what he brought here. Here, did he come to see Eugene? The story moves to the grandfather. Says I asked you to meet you to thank you, but I heard that you refused everything. So I came to meet you personally. Thank you for saving Yoon. I just saved my sister and Shane. Yuna was with her only at that time. The grandfather says, I also heard it. In any case, I saved Yuna. I am sorry for your sister's occurrence in that problem. Eugene says, Yona has already apologized, so there is no need to apologize. More to leave for leaving. And she says, since the conversation is over, I will go now. The grandfather will not be able to be her guard. Looks at him and says, it is not a job for a regular secondary student like me, he says. The grandfather cannot be a normal secondary student to overcome adults who kidnapped Yona, as well as retired soldiers from the special forces abroad. Eugene will be Ace W will a better security team for her. The grandfather says they cannot be with her at school. It does not matter if they are making me, but if the personal guards follow it permanently at an early age, it will not be able to live a natural life. In addition, Suk asked me to exclude him from his security work a few days ago. Because of this mistake, he says that it is not qualified for this reason. I came to you. He decides to leave the grandfather. It not come here because of Yona. I just came to thank you for what happened 3 years ago. Looking at the grandfather says, thank you very much. Thank you, because I was able to see my son. Eugene tells him that he was just a request that might say. No one accepted this request because he was crazy. I was able to reunite with my son thanks to your acceptance and accomplish this request. My son has talked about you a lot. I asked me to know what you are doing as a mug. I found you, but I could not find you. But I did not think that we will meet, so Yuna is his daughter. Eugene tells him that he cannot be guarded correctly, however. I will not pretend that I do not know when something happens to Smile. I will ask you for something else. I want to hear your opinion with our security team from Ice W. Grandfather tells him that our security team has a great pride, so much that they are unnecessary that they believe that Yuna's kidnapping case, this woman could have been resolved by themselves. Although the company East W expands its business and is exposed to more risks, the ideas of the Amal team are not simple for this reason. I want to hear the evaluation from the face of your eyesight. Of course, he is an official and not free work. Eugene returns to the chapter, looking at our day, and remembers her father when he said to him, thank you, because I finally managed to see my son. Remember, the day of judgment, when he was guarding them. Yuna's father comes and says, are you mercenaries at this age? I did not know that you were young because you were covering your face, covering his face and going to catch him with food and say, you must eat well at this age. Members of the group in which Eugene used to say to each other, I think these clients have a lot of money. One of them says, why? They answered him, is it really not possible to dig a well without even doing this? There is nothing to invest in that village. They say I have just come to help. Are these awareness activities? Someone says in any case that it is something that is useless. Yet it was for the villagers as an unexpected gain. One of them answers, if you have money to spend in such a place, you can give it to me. Eugene recalls that Yuina's father was good with him, and he was trying to get close to him because of his young age, and he gave him some meals of the increase. He tries to protect him from rain. After a period of time, Yuna's father comes and says to him, we have heard that you will leave for the following task. This is unfortunate, but I am happy to meet you if you have a time later. Take this. I packed you some foods and medicines. Eugene says, why do you care about this? Yuna was surprised by him. He spoke to the Korean and says, "Do you know how to speak in Korean? Why you pretended that you do not understand me, even if you used the English language and this language?" Yuna's father smiles and says, "Why? I asked why I care about you. Because I also have his son like you. When I saw you remembered my daughter, so I could not pretend that I did not see her." Eugene, did you hear that place that you were protecting in that volunteer group for a period? The entire village has moved to the anti-government forces. It seems that they were waiting for the escort of the accompanying people who built it, just as the members of that voluntary group are to die. Eugene looks smiling at Yuna to come to him and says, "Eugene, are you full-time?" They go to the rest. Seok apologizes to him and says, "I am sorry because I doubted you, and sorry for my sister to apologize. I wanted to officially apologize to you." Eugene says, "I understand your position, so you do not need to be sorry because you did what you had to do." Yuna says, "And also I know that you will refuse. My grandfather asked me to invite you to agree to the invitation." The story moves to Yona's sister and says to herself, "What is the identity of that person with the right of hell? Why does he not want to tell us about this?" The guardian enters it and says, "The manager, I have heard that the student has come.